at the end of the day, are you going to succeed? That wholly depends on, is your experience fun and do people actually want to do it? And that's what we think we do pretty well.
Hi, I'm Russ, and this is the Memory Makers Podcast, the show that helps you create amazing customer experiences and make more memories. We're going to bring back an oldie jingle. It's Memory Makers Podcast. It's Memory Makers Podcast. So for you Folgers fans out there, you get the call back. So, guys, really fun and exciting topic for us to talk about today regarding live entertainment and new and groovy things that are out in the market right now around that, as well as what goes into making and curating a cool live experience for folks. And for that, I'm pleased to introduce Mr. Jack Slayton of the Game Show Studio. Jack, how are you, brother?
I'm doing great, Russ. How are you?
I'm better than I deserve. We're keeping the skis downhill, baby. So that's the name of the game. So you and I had a chance to meet a few weeks back at Foundations, and I was immediately smitten with the Game Show Studio concept, which is a product that you guys do, but you guys also operate and steward and curate live entertainment components, which I think is really impactful for folks is, hey, how do we multi-use a space? What are different things that we can offer? If we're trying to do something for the college crowd, what's a cool new thing that we can be doing, to get that younger audience that's looking for a different type of an experience? And so I'm excited to get to nerd out with you on that. So before we go down all of the rabbit holes, I'd love to start with a little bit of your just background of how did you fall into this crazy industry and get started with the Game Show Studio concept to get to where you are now?
Yeah, and falling into it is a perfect way to describe it. So September 2019, worked with a group that bought an escape room, and so came into it full force, excited, business down in Houston, Texas, in Midtown. 6 months in, COVID hits. And so it was oh no, how do we move forward? What's going on? And a very daunting experience for obviously not just ourselves, but everyone in this industry and pretty much everyone in the world. But young in the career, new to this, was really optimistic to say, you know what, let's bat down the hatches. Let's figure out how we can not only make it through COVID, but come out on the other side with something new, with something exciting. So the business had 8 escape rooms, and we knew that, I'm a numbers guy, finance guy to my heart and core, was doing the analysis of rooms 7 and 8 and how underutilized they were. Thankfully, they were right next to each other. So we decided to pull them out and plug in a game show experience. So from Minnesota, a competitor of ours now that, I'm near and dear to, they put on a great show, so I'm not going to speak poorly about them at all, but I had done their game show experience back when I worked at Ernst & Young and had a blast and thought, hey, I think I can do that here, but do it differently and maybe take it to the next level. So my business partner, Julian Wagner, came from the world of activations, so like large-scale events, pop-up events for like Mazda, Coca-Cola, just really high-end things.
Sure.
And so we took that lens and this experience of game show and tried to bring it together and really create an immersive room that when you stepped into it, you were like, oh man, I'm on an actual real Hollywood studio set. And so we leaned into that side of it and then leaned into the talent side to get really, really top end performers to really create a cool and unique show. And we did that back in it was late 21 was when it actually came to life and the rooms were open. And it was just a blast to see it come to life. Not only just the fun we were having, creating the software, creating the games and the run of shows, but actually me and Julian like building these rooms ourselves. We still build some rooms. We have a team now that does it, but every now and again we like to go out and get our hands dirty and then put it to life.
Stay true to your roots. Yeah.
But yeah, so we started there in Houston. I mentioned I'm from Minnesota, so we wanted to put one in here so we could be hands-on and really have kind of R&D facility.
Yeah.
Did that for a couple of years. And then we started licensing and franchising this about 2 years ago. Ended up selling all of our corporate stores to focus on the development, what we could do support-wise and innovation-wise for one, we knew we could do for many. Sure. Sold our Houston store to a local operator, young guy, young family, really excited about his presence in the community and the business. And then local operators here in Minnesota bought our 2 stores. They came from the hospitality industry, and so they know exactly how to treat customers and how to put on a good show. And other than that, we've got another 8 stores across the nation that are operating as franchises. So really excited about it.
That's dope, man. So, one, I mean, obviously coming out of COVID with something where there's a really big itch to scratch where people are wanting to come back together and get back to normal, type of interactions. I'm sure that live entertainment had even that much more of a force behind it. When you're looking at live entertainment versus other things that you see in a traditional location-based venue, family entertainment center, insert, 3-syllable abbreviation here for that. What are some of the things that help stand out, whether it's some live music, whether it's something like Game Show Studio? What about the live aspect do you feel like really resonates, and who is that resonating most with based on what you guys are seeing across locations?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the live entertainment piece is just more personal, more intimate, and I think the big one is it's more memorable. So it's a unique experience that's guided by an actual human being, and a talented one at that. And so coming out of COVID, we were all locked in our houses, seeing the same people over and over again. People were across the entertainment and just world were trying to go out and do fun things. And then when you got to go into a space and be entertained by someone you didn't really know, but with a group you did, it just was a very memorable experience. And, having that, and it's not a software, there's software part of it, but it's not guided by a software. There's someone who's making jokes, and it's creating this experience that's tailored specifically toward your group. We really think of it as like an improv experience where the show's the same. There's no script. There's a box that we give these people to play in. Like, we've got the run a show, we've got the room, but how they actually bring this experience to life is wholly up to the host and the producer in the room, and making sure that it's fully derived by who's in the group. So, a family reunion is going to be one experience where, a corporate event with a bunch of accountants is going to be another. Mm-hmm. So how really lean into that and make something special for them. And that's where we found kind of a sweet spot in this space where it was really fun. And then we saw it resonated with our customers, and not only coming to check us out, but coming back time and time again.
Yeah. Well, and you and I were, as we were talking when we first met, and as things were kind of coming up to scale, one of the things that I asked you about was, gosh, it feels like the host and that producer aspect are a really important piece of making something is what it is, right? And on a simple version, I would think back to even how we would brief for laser tag. If it was a bachelor party, we were doing different jokes and having a different level of tomfoolery that was going on with that type of an experience versus a birthday party that may have been done 6 hours earlier in the day. And I loved the fact that when you were talking about, we started going with these improv groups and comedy sports, and I did comedy sports when I was in high school and things. I'm like, oh my gosh, those guys would be absolutely perfect. But finding, okay, if we're interested in getting into live events, do we have to have a full-time hired employee that can do that? Well, maybe if they've got the skill set for it, but it's also, there are those local stand-up and improv type even community theater, actors. Like, there are pools that you can pull from to start to get those folks that are comfortable on stage. But you had a story, and I'm gonna jump around a little bit, but you had this story of this great guy, because as you guys were putting this into multiple locations, it was, hey, we're gonna help you kind of find some of these people, train them on what are the mechanics of the different games, how do they actually curate a show. But this guy was an accountant, if I remember correctly, and he had a totally different persona that then all of a sudden, kind of came to life. And so I'd love for you to share a little bit on that, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was one of the favorite stories from early days. Financial advisor, so close to an accountant. The guy comes in for an interview to be a host, buttoned up, suit and tie, go through the first couple interview questions, and really sharp, really likable. Thought maybe I'd invest my money with this guy, but I wasn't getting game show host vibes. Mm-hmm. But like anything, it was like, hey, let's give him a run at it. And so one thing that is a ton of fun about our interviews is we like to kind of throw them out there on the stage and say, all right, host a game show. We don't give them really any, like, this is the scene, this is the question. These folks have seen game show hosts. They know the premise. and can they think on their feet and do it on the fly? And so we throw them out there, and this guy comes out, jumps out of the curtain with the mic, and is working it like a pro. He's got different mannerisms, a different name, a different voice, and it was like a jaw drop moment of, you're hired, and this is incredible. And so it was a really fun experience. Like, the improv folks who are coming out, it's kind of part of their personality. They're going to work, but seeing the teachers or the financial advisors and the people who kind of work a 9 to 5 like standard job coming out and doing this a little bit for fun. Like, yeah, you make some good money doing it, but they're doing it because they like to perform and it's a good time. Like, that's where it's been really cool to see those people join the fold and watch them put on the show, and have a good time doing it. Where some of our hosts, I like to joke with them, I think they have more fun than our contestants, but it makes it special.
That's awesome. Well, and it, I think, goes to show, one, you can always be surprised by people in many, many good ways that come with that. And one of the things that makes, I feel like, a live experience so special is that that's unique in that exact group of people on that day, all of that, where then, okay, if you're coming back and doing even the same, like whether you're going to see a band in a different place, or you're seeing, or you're doing an experience like Game Show Studio, a week and a half or a month later, it's a different combination of people and vibe and energy. And so that's one of those things that struck me that I really loved about the concept, was like, oh my gosh, one, you've got this community that you can start to build, and whether it's the trivia night folks at the local bar, but now we can do something in our setting that's a little bit more akin to that, but we can still do our food and beverage, and we can cross promote. Like, there are just so many cool aspects of it. But to your point, like, this is something for girls' night out or corporate stuff, or like the demographic spread was really impressive to me, of just like who this could be relevant to, as well as the fact that even if you've done it multiple times in different settings. Because I think back to, okay, I'm going to share this story. So when I was at a Monster Mini Golf convention, it was out in Vegas, and they went to this game show called Mysterious. And it was this like drag game show that was hilariously done and curated, and it just had all these quirks and funny things. But at its core, it was, a little bit of live entertainment, improv, and game show stuff kind of all connected. But so I went and did that as part of the Monster Mini Golf crew, which was super fun and just different than anything that I had experienced. When we went to Vegas, like we had a boys trip or something, 2 years later, I'm like, guys, we have to go to this show. And they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, we absolutely have to go. It was one of the most fun things I've ever done. And went, and again, different experience, but it felt familiar. But it was just something where the connection, I feel like you get that human to human connection in a way that you don't in so many other entertainment pieces, because it's trash talking, it's joking, it's all of those things that really highlight the best of what the human experience is, I feel like, which is awesome.
Yeah, exactly. And you hit it straight on the head, where there's no show is ever going to be the same. You could come and play with the exact same group, with the exact same host, but the different questions, different content are going to be different. But we always, every month, we're sending out new questions and content to keep it fresh. New games multiple times a year, and dressing up a different run of show. But the uniqueness of it is what's really special, where like our hosts know, and this is the improv part, where it's not about you as the host, it's about the contestants. So your job is to pull out the funny stuff, essentially, from the contestants. A joke you make as a host could be funny for sure, but if you can guide the contestant into saying something funny, it creates like a different atmosphere, where we almost try to create those like inside jokes experience, because that makes it more memorable. And for like company groups and company outings, it creates that like team atmosphere of bonding, where like I like to talk about this, where to start our show, you put on these big name tags, like big game show name tags, and we say, don't put your real name on it. We get creative, get fun. You can learn a lot about a group by this. Some are extremely raunchy and crazy. Some are like very bland and boring, and hey, to each their own. But many times I've heard when we talk to groups like months later, or when they come back a year down the road, those nicknames that they gave themselves stick inside the companies. So they get like an inside joke, and a guy's got a new nickname because of the game show experience. And I've always found that to be a really cool thing that kind of carries on after the show.
Yeah, no, I love that. Well, and two things that you said. One was get leading the guest, right? It's about the guest and the contestant getting, and which I think translates for any operator and staff member of like, how do we make this about the guests, or how do we make it about the customer and really put them in the hero position, which is fantastic. But then your point where you were talking about kind of leading them to say something that's funny. I just am like having Steve Harvey reactions on Family Feud memes flashing through my head where you get some of that silliness and goofiness that comes with it. Interesting when it comes to live entertainment and operators as they're looking at doing that. And again, across any form of what that could be, it's not just the show itself, but there's things like programming and marketing and developing a community of people that are kind of curating some of that, and the operations and execution of the show itself. So what are some of the things that you see work really well when it comes to that? How do we create a variety of different experiences? How are we marketing that? Who are we trying to target with that? Or are there any particular techniques that you've seen that have worked really well?
Yeah, so I think it's a mix of all of that. So like programming is a big one where it allows our corporate team to have a lot of fun designing new games and working with the software and testing it. Like once a month, we go out and we run through the new software and the new content. So I sit in a room, and our head of experience, Brian Kelly, and our production lead guy, they run me through a game show, and I get to guess and laugh and have a good time, and they make fun of me for all the bad answers I give. But the programming piece allows it to be really easily trainable and repeatable in the sense of like, you're not recreating the wheel. The experience is easy to run from a production standpoint to allow the talent to lean into the more creative and customization aspects of the experience. Marketing, I think, is a really good thing to point on because one, like in a lot of experiences, you also have to like train the customer of what are they going to expect, what are they going to do. Where game shows have almost done that to the population because almost everyone knows what a game show is, and we don't have to market and explain what we're doing. We don't have to tell them rules about the experience when they come in. They just jump on and pretend they're on a game show. But two, on the marketing component, the room is dressed up with bright lights, a lot of action, a lot of sound, cool colors. And so that on the marketing component it pops really well on social media, on ads. It's different. So in this space, it's something that's unique and new. And for the FEC space, who, they kind of have their core offerings and they're continuing to evolve. But this is something that's really different than what they've typically done. But we believe it fits really seamlessly into that business model because it brings in the groups, it brings in people who are looking for fun, and you can almost share the customer inside those four walls. So maybe they hear about it from game show, come into the business, see there's axe throwing, see there's bowling, see there's a nice restaurant, and hopefully they leave the show or having so much fun that they want to stay and play with all their friends. So that's a big pitch that we have for the operators in that space. And yeah, I think touched on most of them there.
Yeah. Well, and I love it from the standpoint that it's got this kind of tentpole draw to it, like you said, where it's super intuitive and unique enough that people will be drawn to that, but then it positively impacts what else they're going to do when they come to your venue and check that kind of stuff out. And I was chatting with one of the guys that runs your stuff down in Houston. And like they have an event area that they use, and it's like, hey, we don't have a restaurant, but like when we're doing bigger events, like we'll cater some stuff in there and we'll use our extra space for that, but it doesn't have to eat up the space in our main venue kind of a thing too. And so, man, it just feels like it can really help with both the dwell time, the per cap spend, in positively infusing other things that you have to offer. And because it's, hey, I may go and do this for a work thing, but now I want to do that with my group of friends, and they can immediately go back in and play and have a different experience, where a lot of other things, like just not everything lends itself to that type of organic freshness every time as it's going down. So I really like that. When you look at business problems that a hosted attraction solves, like game show or any of these kinds of things, like what about it do you see, do you see higher engagement of people sharing their experiences more organically online and other things like that? Because I feel like those are aspects where it's like, so much of good marketing comes down to like, hey, these aren't forced perspectives. It's not our buy one get one free promo that we're running. It's not our free drink coupons. Like, we need to show people having a good time. Like, do you see a larger number of people sharing and promoting these types of experiences than others?
Yeah, and I would absolutely say so. There's a couple parts of our show, and I won't give it away because go check it out. It's a lot of fun. It's different than what you actually experience and see on TV. But there are moments that we really lean into to get people on the stage and having fun. And so we call those like memorable moments where we tell them in the room, get your phones out, you're going to want to record this. And so we see a lot of that on social media, which is obviously great for us as a brand. But then on the review side, like, we get a lot of reviews. I don't have a metric to compare against other experiences, but in a couple years doing this, we've got over 25,000 5-star reviews. And our Houston location, talked to the owner earlier, they get about 100 5-star reviews a week, which is
Wow.
incredible. And people are just happy to talk about it. They want to share like their experience. They mention our host's name because they had such a good time. And so that's really fun to see from kind of my level, because I can get down to the kind of boots on the ground and see, all right, Mo and Ari are crushing it in Houston, because I'm seeing tens and tens of reviews each week about their shows they put on. And so that's really fun. I really do think that this type of experience, it lends itself to our customers and contestants wanting to share about it. And then you mentioned it too, where you come and do this with a corporate group, all your employees, coworkers, and you have a good time, and you think, well, I had a good time with all my coworkers. How much fun would I have with my group of friends or my family or what have you? So it does kind of have that trickle down effect where they keep coming back time and time again and wanted to share the experience with other people because they had fun. And that's really what it boils down to in this industry. At the end of the day, are you going to succeed? That wholly depends on, is your experience fun and do people actually want to do it? And that's what we think we do pretty well.
I love it. Okay, I've got a little lightning round for you where I've got some quick hit questions. What is the most competitive group that you've ever hosted?
Ooh, that's a good one. Couple jump off quickly off the top of my head. We did a travel show for the Minnesota Vikings at their facility to kick off last season. We pitted like running backs versus wide receivers, offensive line versus defensive line, and that was incredible. As you can imagine, some pretty competitive folks.
Sure.
I will say the top one that we ever had was early days back in 2023. We had the University of Minnesota's women's basketball team. It was incredible. I wish we filmed content during that show because it was just so much fun, so much energy. It was before we found our vendor to build us podiums. So we had some initial podiums that didn't quite make it through the show because there was so much energy. So I got to give them the nod because it was a lot of fun seeing all the energy and them just banging on the podiums and having a good time.
That's awesome. Kids or adults, who gets more into it?
That's tough. I would say adults for the most part. It's funny to see, like, even if they're playing their kids, like the adults really lean in there, like they want to win.
Yeah, they may not be able to make that jumper over their 13-year-old, but they know more trivia and minutia.
Yep.
I love it. Let's see here. Oop, 1 second. Best team name you've ever heard?
Oh, God. That's a tough one. I might have to pass. Nothing's jumping up. There's so many creative people out there, and some of them are a little bit too raunchy to share. But nothing jumps off the top of the head. But there's a lot of good ones.
That's all good. I appreciate you respecting the PG-13 Deadpool adjacent vibe that we go for on the show here. So I feel like you need to get some university physics groups in there and like Schrodinger's cats or things like that. So I like it. Most underrated ingredient of a great host?
My personal favorite is like a real dry humor where you're not sure if they're making fun of you or not. Like a little subtle. You're like, did he just look? I think that's really funny because like it's, you're not that flamboyant out there always cracking jokes, but they're guiding the experience and then slipping in things here and there that really make it. You got to kind of be on your toes to catch the jokes and the inside parts of it.
I like it. Favorite game that you guys have in the lineup?
Oh, we got a lot of good ones, 15 of them now. We've done a lot of R&D this year. Honestly, I'd probably say our Double Trouble game. So it's a Jeopardy style game. It's brand new. So we've got a lot of fun in doing it and bringing it to life. And we're actually about to go to market with it. So I'd say probably a recency bias with it right now, but we've had a lot of fun with it, and probably my favorite right now.
I dig it. So side note before we get to the last lightning round, so pause the lightning. Here comes the thunder. So my wife is a huge James Dean nerd, and on this last weekend, they actually have like on his birthday get together and do James Dean Jeopardy, and I'm like, I now need to do James Dean Jeopardy in this kind of a format where it can get a little bit more wild and crazy. But holy smokes, man, like that's the part just from a spectator, because again, my wife is the aficionado, but it's like, what was the third number in his address on his second New York apartment or whatever kind of stuff. And it's like all these people are like, it's 7 or whatever it is. That's not right. And they'll come after me for that. But even the spectating aspect is amazing when it comes to that. And I love that. So, okay. Last question on the lightning round resumed, is one thing every operator underestimates about live entertainment.
Ooh. I would say the underestimating part is they underestimate how, I don't want to say easy because that's going too far, but everyone has the big concern about labor. And in the FEC space, they're kind of going towards automation and eliminating labor. And they always ask the question, it's what I get all the time, like, how do you find staff? How do you retain staff? And I think that's the thing they almost underestimate the problem there, because you get these folks and they have so much fun at the job and putting on this experience that they love to stay, and they love to recruit and tell their friends like, hey, I'm doing this great job. I love hosting. And they actually go recruit and bring people in for you. So the staffing side is something that I think everyone underestimates, but in kind of the opposite kind of way I'm going at.
No, that's awesome. All right, my friend, before I let you go, last question that I have for you is there a favorite audiobook or a podcast or a quote? It could be something that you saw yesterday on your way into work, or it's something that's been a guiding light for you for a number of years. But we always like to nerd out with some good mental improvements. And to be fair, it can be self-improvement stuff, or it can be Harry Potter. We've heard everything in between. So
I'll probably go towards the latter then, where I'm not a huge podcast guy, even though I'm on a podcast. And I'm old school, so I read, but I print only. I'm very few audiobooks. But nerding out, I'm big into Brandon Sanderson and the Cosmere.
Let's go, dude.
I'm on the second to last book. I've read all the majors, and now I'm kind of on the short series. I've got about done with Sunlit Man, and then I just have the final one. So I'm really excited to kind of wrap it up and see kind of how it all comes together. And that, I mean, whatever Brandon Sanderson does, like his imagination, his world building. Speaking of nerd now, like I could go on for ages about this. Like he is on just a whole nother level. I hope he never stops writing. I'll be there to read every book he publishes. So.
I love it. Yeah, I've done all the Mistborn. I've finished Stormlight and done those. We actually have a group from the office that get together every couple of weeks and do the Stormlight RPG game. They're being very patient with me because I am not done any sort of RPG, Dungeons and Dragons type stuff. And so it's very much the muggle getting indoctrinated within that group. But his stuff is incredible. Like, to your point, just the characters, the themes, like there have been very few series that I've gone through where I've had just such a, I see what you're doing, but it doesn't take me out of the story. And like, you can simultaneously appreciate it and get lost in it all at the same time. He's amazing. He's amazing. So good share. I love it. All right. Well, Jack, I really appreciate getting a chance to nerd out with you a little bit on this, and I'll add you to our Cosmere group chat so that way you can nerd out with us here at the office. But thank you very much for your time, and thank you all for joining us on this episode. If there's new content, interviews, new things that you want us to hit on, please hit us up, and we'll be getting that into the rotation. You can always find these episodes each week wherever you get your podcasts. If you like what you heard, please give us that 5-star review, please and thank you, if we've earned it. And finally, if you have anything else, I already said that part, where, hit us up if there's something that you want us to dive down the rabbit hole on. Big shout out to Mikey Mike, working the 1s and 2s on the Ultranet for us here, making it all come together. And we will catch you on the next one, Troublemakers.